Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtrothi, and this is the CSM 16, or this is the Eve Universe show's continued coverage of the CSM 16 election with our interviews, this time with TDor Clau. Before we begin, how you doing, TDor?
Hello, Ash. I'm doing well, thank you very much. Glad to be here with you.
Oh, glad to be here with you. So it is... Or before we begin, let's, of course, as always, explain the rules. I give each candidate 50 minutes where I dig through their candidacy and ask any questions and try to help them or help understand and showcase or bring the best view of that candidate to my viewers so that way you can watch them and make decisions on your own. After my 50 minutes of exploration, you get 10 minutes in order to make sure that any points that I may have missed or, if I had taken things off the track, which can happen, give you one last chance to give a structured pitch of what you want. And then when we're both satisfied, it goes over to YouTube and put on a playlist with the rest of them that are going to be available. So that way my audience and everybody can watch these and make an informed decision, because as with all of these, the most important thing is that as many people as possible be engaged in the CSM election process by being a responsible and informed voter. With all that being said, TDor Clau, let's start with, is this your first run for CSM?
It absolutely is my first run.
Absolutely is. Okay. And you are part... Excuse me. And you are part of Test Alliance, Please Ignore, which is a relatively well-known null sec organization that is occasionally recruiting.
Dreaded is permanently recruiting.
And
so I've heard. Might be a rumor.
Okay, so you started in 2018, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Roughly at the end.
So what has caused you to believe that this was the year for you to run for CSM?
Let's put it simply. Null Sec is on a downslope, and it's on a downslope for a while now. And I have some feelings and some informed opinions that people are not really happy in nullsec by changes affecting nullsec.
Right.
So I'm not even happy. So I decided to run for it. Maybe push CCP into bringing nullsec on an uphill slope again.
I guess, would you say that nullsec is in a bad state right now is an unpopular opinion among nullsec candidates at the moment? Because that feels like that's probably as uncontroversial as they come, at least for people running for nullsec. Do you feel like there wasn't already enough representation of that mentality? What do you bring to that discussion that other people that similarly are from nullsec, maybe even with significantly more years of experience about nullsec and can remember previous generations of nullsec, bring to the table?
So I can bring to the table the fact that I'm playing in nullsec.
Are you
pure and simple?
Are you suggesting that the other people running for the nullsec candidacy are not playing in nullsec, or not playing right now?
They are playing in nullsec, but they're not doing the daily nullsec stuff and activities. And I have a strong feeling other nullsec candidates don't have to run around 5 constellations to do exploration sites in order to buy a caracal.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we've been hearing a lot from alliance leaders and FCs and that high level stuff, and that's fine and it's good for them to have a voice, but you're afraid that in all of that the actual little man is being outshouted, and that's a big problem because that's always a concern, right? Because the leadership are already have their own voice. And so you need to have a little man at the table, the guy that is actually out there doing the daily exploration, making these mining the guy who's actually mining in the fleets, not just yelling at people for mining in fleets or to mine in fleets.
Exactly. And actually, I haven't been in a fleet where somebody yells at you to mine.
That's
Yet.
true. I apologize, but I mean, I didn't mean to like
Yeah.
mischaracterize nullsec fleets, but I mean, it was more, I don't know, turn of phrase or whatever. But okay, so that makes sense. That makes total sense.
Yes, you're
Hmm?
a lot of candidates do not live out of nullsec
So,
and do not have to work in nullsec to survive in nullsec and to thrive and to prosper or even to stay afloat. So being the daily player which plays at a, let's say, at a competitive level, because I'm not simply VNI ratting. I've I've went from the bottom to the top, right? I can do everything PvE related, everything, almost everything PvP related. I'm daily inside of nullsec trying to do something, and it's not working out as good as it should be and could be. And I feel the vast majority of people need a better representation. Not Let's not say better, because I'm not better than anyone. A more relatable
well-rounded,
representation. Exactly.
right? So, okay, but here's the thing, and I'm kind of setting up the straw man here, but like the common notion is that most null blocks like have their candidates and they have their block votes, and so they're going to get their candidates in, and so especially for like non-null block candidates, it you kind of like look at it as there's actually only three or four seats, and like you're contesting over like who's going to get those wild card seats. Um, do you have like do you have your null block like I assume that's what's happening this year as well. Um, is this an issue where you are attempting to get elected and you know you're not part of the block votes? If so, how can are you going to be able to convince people to vote against their blocks or convince people that aren't in given block votes to vote for you?
First of all, I do not have the support or official backing of Test Alliance or
Okay.
any friends of Test Alliance, blue, red, or any color.
Right.
I'm running personally on my own. I didn't even speak to a diplomat. Hey, can I run? Is that an issue in Test Alliance? No, I just did it. I am not looking for Test Alliance's backup. People feel they can vote for me and they vote for me, fine. If they don't want to vote for me and they vote whatever the ping says, that's entirely their decision.
Okay, so
And they're right.
so would you say that you're looking to target those who are part of nullsec but maybe being told to vote a certain way, but you're trying to show them that maybe bringing in someone like you uh, higher up on their list would actually suit their vested interest and persuade people to vote for you anyways? Or is the block
Basically,
voting thing not as big of a thing this year? I actually don't even know.
the blog thing is a big deal,
Okay, well there you go. I
and
assumed.
it's the biggest deal in the CSM election.
Yeah, I haven't heard as much about like horse trading as much or whatever publicly as I have in years past. But
It doesn't matter, because let me put it simply. Some people watch your channel, your Twitch, your YouTube.
mhm.
Some other people watch another one and another one. The vast majority of people are not watching your Twitch or the next guy's Twitch or the forums.
That's true. Yeah, that is a good point. There is like a bunch of little silos as much as we try to reach across. So let's jump into this then. Let's just start. from the beginning. Let's speak to those people directly and ask you, what is the purpose and value of null security space? Solve null security space specifically.
Not exactly. I'm not playing the soft game here. I'm
Oh,
playing all nullsec game.
never mind.
Although
Of null security space.
Yes, null security space. So the value is simple. Well, the risk is highest, let's say. Maybe not wormhole level, but highest, right? And the ISK was highest. Risk per reward. That's everything. That's everything everyone speaks in EVE Online since you undock in your Corvette.
That's true. But so what's the value of nullsec like to the larger, to EVE Online, not to the individual, but to EVE Online? Like if nullsec didn't exist and somebody argued that you needed to have a nullsec, what would they say is the reason why you would need to put in a nullsec? You already have a wormhole space. You already have a low sec space. Why still put in this wormhole space? Is just, or nullsec is just wormhole space that you can connect to gates. Like, explain the value of nullsec to Eve, if you can.
I think I can. The
Okay.
nullsec is a map. You can see it on the map. You know where it goes. You can set a route. Wormholes need more skill than that. And you have no rules. Whatever you do in nullsec doesn't affect your other game status, like security, like kill rights, nothing. It's like a wild west. You can do whatever you want and you have little consequences. The biggest one would be losing your ship. And
So
that's why I even like it. That's why I think it's the best. Because I know where I'm going. I can find my own way. I go left, I go right, I take this gate, I go around. I can do anything without being concorded, without losing security status like in lowsec. So then I cannot go shopping for 3 weeks until I grind back up.
right.
Or invest a large amount of disk to be able to enter a high security zone.
So with that in
So
mind,
it's great.
Yeah, I agree with that as an answer. With that in mind, why is nullsec not good right now? And what would help make nullsec good for the little man?
Nullsec needs to have a future, and to maintain its promising. That if you go to nullsec and you join like a corporation or a group, you can make profit, you can develop faster or learn better skills, and it needs that. But now it's lacking that. I don't have any official stats or numbers, but I don't think a lot of people are coming now to nullsec. It's like the opposite. People are going out of nullsec.
Yeah. Well, so
And
okay, the thing is that for years I heard people like, whenever CCP has tried to like add new things to nullsec, like Sodios or drifter attacks, players have not only not really accepted it, but there's this overall notion that nullsec is about player stories and that CCP should more or less just stay out of the way. And so it's all about player stories. And then suddenly in like 2018, or 2019, we smash into a brick wall and everybody's complaining about stagnation in nullsec, and everybody turned to CCP and said, you need to start generating conflict. And I was confused by that, because like, you fight because you don't like each other. That was the whole point. Like, the fact that you guys have decided to turn it into a whole sport is like, you explicitly told CCP to not put in artificial motivations, that it was supposed to be about player motivations, and then that eventually ground down. So I've been curious about whether or not new content being added to nullsec would be accepted as an answer, and what kind of new content. And the reason why I've been thinking about this is because I'm concerned that CCP has these same feelings, and that's why you're seeing so many experiments in things like high sec and low sec, where they can like really, really like reinforce these mechanics. And high sec people kind of accept PvE interfering with their lives in a world that, like the idea of non-consensual PvE was given up years ago with diamond rats in high sec. So when the drifter attacks happened, that was one of the reasons why high sec was so confused at nullsec's response to it, because it's like we've been having this for years. But regardless, I bring all this to you because as the small gang, or as the small guy, as the guy who's actually like trying to represent the guys that are out there living in nullsec, do you think that now is the time to introduce new content to nullsec? And as a CSM member, you will help the nullsec population process this and not see it as bullshit PvE. Look at this gate, right? The gate is just an opportunity for us to compete over something, but because of our lack of understanding of the situation, or our insistence on what it means, it has made it so that we aren't actually. They gave us a conflict driver, and we're choosing to not engage with it as a conflict driver. We could choose to, we could not choose not to. Many people aren't. Sodio's the same way. Other things the same way. So how do you, as a CSM member, convince CCP that it is safe again to put in new content into nullsec, and at the same time help nullsec accept new PvE and not freak out when gate rats, or rats are now on gates because, oh my god, the Serpentis might protect their area?
I don't think rats on a gate should be a problem for any nullsec player, first of all. If you cannot handle rats on a gate, I'm sorry. And
that's a good place to start, actually. Good job. All right, go on.
No, but seriously, it's not a 1.0 system. It's not your first day in Eve. You have nullsec is large. There's large groups, large corporations, good corporations, with old people, experienced people, experts. I'm sure anyone can find a place where they can learn about nullsec and not worry about gate rats.
What do you say to people that are like, say, roaming PvPers that may be in comps that are not prepared to deal with it in the same way, and even though they could potentially deal with it, they see it, and this is what's critical, they see it as PvE tainting their otherwise sacred PvP. And this is a problem that has existed over and over again. This is the same thing with drifters. This is the same thing with some of the faction warfare rebalance from Inferno, and why we didn't get everything that we probably should have. This notion of non-consensual PvE being bad. Do you feel like that's something that we can get past in order to allow for a more dynamic nullsec?
I'm sorry, but I don't understand. Are PvP players complaining that while PvPing, some rats spawn on the gate?
Correct. The slogan that I've heard is non-consensual PvP, or PvE rather, i.e., I shouldn't be forced to deal with PvE problems while I'm doing my PvP. What would you say to those people?
I think they should get good.
You know what? That is my kind of answer. All right. So beyond that, what kind of content do we need in nullsec? Would something like invasions be good? Are you looking at anom rebalance? Are you looking at, what exactly would new content in nullsec look like, given what they've been experimenting with in the last 2 years?
I'm gonna say the elephant in the room, and that's the Rorqual.
Go on.
When I started playing EVE Online, after I finished the high sec thing, I went to nullsec. I wasted some time ran around the place like a headless chicken. And then I saw what people liked and what people are doing. So I saw Rorqual was top game. And every content generator was around the Rorqual, which was mining. Doesn't matter what we do is mining or how much Isket was making per hour. But it's a content gravitational pull. You put a fleet of Rorquals somewhere, it's bound something to happen. And now, I don't know if you've been roaming around or filamenting, but you don't see a Rorqual on this game anywhere. Or I haven't.
Okay, so the problem
So
is
we
that
need,
they aren't using Rorquals anymore?
yes,
Okay.
we should give them something to mine, because the recent changes blew everything off, and they're just good for boosting now,
I
in the
see.
best case scenario. So if we put them out to mine again, people know they are mining. They're out there. People go looking for them, find them, tackle
Right.
them, and it goes on.
Right. Although
Like in, if I may just finish, in
yeah, no, go for it.
2019, right, if I remember, it was like Rorqual tackled every single day, 3 times a day. In the weekend was madness, and it was fun, honestly. And it was engaging, and the standing fleet, whatever you call it, the defense fleet was full. People were on Mumble, were talking, were interacting, were doing something. And after they nerfed everything into the ground, nobody. Nobody was logging in. Characters unsubscribed. Nullsec population dropped. And nobody was even joining fleet comms for casual days. And it went downhill all the way. Honestly, now if it wasn't a war, I don't know who would be playing this game. And you'll see the numbers tank really bad.
So,
And
sorry.
I think I saw a graph on Reddit showing like the decline of population, and it's visible. It's constant and visible. And I believe a large part of that is because of nullsec.
Fair enough. I mean, regardless of anything, I think that we can agree that people no longer logging in 8 Rorquals is causing the numbers to go down, even if the number of players doesn't change at all. So but it's not like it's a mystery as to why there aren't these ores. We went through a period of scarcity. We're starting to go into a period of regrowth. I I can only assume that as that would happen, then mining would pick it back up in popularity. There was an This isn't an issue of like there was a healthy amount before and where did they all go? It was out of control before. So yeah, hunting was plentiful because it was insane. And now we've definitely gone to the low end of things. But even before it returns, I believe CCP has mentioned that there's going to be a roll qual rebalance. Um, so I guess I say all that to say to you, is this really just nullsec is broken because the ore's gone? Like, is you just put the ore back and it'd be fine?
In a way, yes. You put some more back, capital mining starts again. Then capital ratting starts again. And it all goes on. And everyone starts logging in because things are happening. It's profitable once again. Nobody wants to go to high sec with 5 orcas and mine AFK all day. If you can make the same value or similar values in your own backyard in shorter time, it's simple logic. So I think, yes, we need something for the Rorquals to mine. We need something for the capitals to rat. I've seen some suggestions about capital signatures, cosmic signatures. I don't know if CCP is ever going to do that, or I highly doubt it. It's on a short-term plan, but that'd be interesting.
So
And I think it would be worth it to introduce, even if it wasn't profitable. It would be like, I would do it. I would totally do it. Run a few sites, specially designed for capital ships, for dreads or carriers.
yeah. Well,
So even if I wasn't making vast amounts of money, I'd still do it because it's something else, something new,
yeah.
and hopefully something better.
I've actually been a strong advocate of capital abyssal sites, so that way you can tailor-made sites that are designed to challenge the unique qualities of the different capital types. But either way, um, so I guess here's another question: Do you believe that it is good that the Apex fleet is just a bunch of Rookwalls, or should it be, Rookwalls plus mining barges or whatever? Like, do you believe that the Rookwall is in a good state overall? Since you seem to think, or you seem to view that as a major conflict driver, which many people do, and the panic button certainly basically gives it that capability. So to that end, where do you think is the state of the roque wall itself, not just the ore?
Right now on the top shelf, gathering dust. But overall, it needs some tuning, some fine tuning, and put that in parallel with the mining, with the rocks, with anomalies. It's a fine tuning. I think CCP just used a sledgehammer and sent it all to hell. With a bit of work and some small testing, they could they could get it done. But maybe it would be a slow process, too much development time, too much data analysis.
Can you
I'm
give
not really sure about it.
Can you give a high level analysis? Does it mine too much, too little? Does it have too big of a tank, too little of a tank? Too much offensive capability, too little offensive capability? Panic too strong, too weak? Anything like that?
They nerfed the shields, the resists. Honestly, I don't think the tank is an issue this day and age.
So
The
roque wall's
offensive,
good. Just give them a reason to be out there.
as defensive, I think it's good, in my opinion. Offensively, it doesn't really matter. And the panic button is unique in Eve. Only the Rorqual can use it. Why would you remove it and put it out on what?
Yeah.
On a Tech 1 cruiser?
Does it really matter? Because if the roque wall can defend itself, then it doesn't need to bring in allies. It doesn't escalate. So the
As an
more offensive
sort of
capability. Sorry?
yeah, but just one is not a game changer.
Right.
Even if you have like three in a belt or a signature, is not that much really. If somebody is actively hunting for oracles, they should plan for multiple oracles
But you're not
on a
just going
grid.
to get people that are planning for it. You're getting people that are like yeeting out with a team of like 5 guys that might be able to take on. But my point is that if a roque wall, if the roque wall has offensive capability, then it doesn't need to call in help. So, but you're still saying that the offensive capability that it currently has is fine. Roque wall's fine, and that's fine. I mean, I totally accept
Honestly,
that
no,
assessment.
I don't. I don't know. I don't have the skills for oracle. How much DPS does it do roughly? If you know.
I do not, but I'm also not making a platform on making them great again. So, or having them be a core component of making things great again. So your experience is predominantly hunting these things. Then, so you commiserate with the need for them to feel well rewarded, so that way they're out there taking risks. So that way you can, punish them when they're wrong. Right? Is that pretty much
Or I don't. Yeah,
awesome.
basically.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. And so
I
what's
just want them. I just feel like getting them out there one way or another, in one state or another. A lot of money, no money. just get them out there. Let them be in space. Give them a reason to be in space, and let's see what happens. And it will be better as a content generator and as a player motivation. Right now, you don't have a bigger motivation than, what is it, an orca, or a purpose maybe, or a exhumer, which is not much, to be honest. If you're a hardcore miner, you want maybe the top ship, but what are you gonna do today with the top ship? Moon mining once a month. You see the point?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's shift gears a little bit, and let's talk about an issue that I think that hopefully you'll be able to shed a little bit of light on it from the perspective of the guy out there ratting, as opposed to the leadership voice that we may have heard so much already. The new observatories, mobile observatories. You know the mechanics?
Yes, I know beacons.
Again?
Or
Mobile observatories. Are you breaking up a little bit? Hold on. Nope. My connection's good. You there?
yeah, I hear.
Okay, good. Do you know about the new mobile observatories?
Can say I do.
Okay, so there's a new deployable coming to Nullsec. Fine, it's brand new. It's only like a dev blog or whatever. And all of us are busy with CSM stuff at the moment. Anyway, so the mobile observatory is a deployable that you can launch, or that is coming. When you launch it, it will every, I believe, 10 minutes put out a pulse that has a 40% chance of decloaking anybody in the system. And so,
yeah, I heard
yeah.
I call it the anti-cloaker.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, great. So the actual name of the deployable is the Mobile Observatory. You're right. I give the name a 6 out of 10 too, but that's not the point. As a nullsecker, this is clearly a direct attack at cloaky camping. I've heard a lot of other people's opinions about it. You represent little dudes. You're on let's do the CCP. You know, you're on the CSM thought experiment. You are on the CSM. The CCP just came to you and pitched this as one of the things that they're doing at the summit. They just got done pitching the definition of it, and everybody turns to you to see what you have to say about it. What is your feedback as CSM?
Honestly, let's go for it, see what happens, and then we can come back to the table. Because it's too much of a wild card. It's either really good or it's really pointless.
What's your opinion of cloaky camping?
My opinion of cloaky camping is finding good systems where people do PvE, mostly ratting, of course. Go AFK for a couple of days, then drop them, and then leave or move to another system.
Right.
In some reasonable numbers, I guess. I only have 2 Omega characters, so
That's fair.
cloaky camping is not an option for me.
My apologies. That wasn't a quiz about what cloaky camping is. What I'm saying is that, like, that's one of those controversial things that, like, people have been complaining about for years. People have been arguing against it. Arguably, the cloaky camping situation is all part of Blackout in a way. So knowing that and how controversial and how problematic this journey has been for local intelligence and cloaky camping, like, I just wanted to know, there's a lot of different views on these things. Local's too powerful. AFK cloaking is too powerful. I want to know where you came on that spectrum.
Honestly, I don't like it.
You don't like cloaky camping, so you would be pro the observatory.
AFK.
Got it.
Don't like AFK cloaky camping with 50 characters over 3 regions. I don't think that's actually doing anything.
So that's actually why I really like these observatories, right? Because basically, if somebody is active, is hunting somebody, then it basically does nothing because they just recloak. But if they are not active, then they decloak, just you can probe them down and kill them, which means this allows you to call somebody's bluff for 35 million. It's not something that you, like, keep running all the time. It is you suspect somebody's AFK cloaking and you try to get them.
Yeah, it's good. It's the only fight back against cloaky camping you have. Because most cloaky campers just after downtime immediately log in and cloak up, and that's it. You never hear from them again until next downtime.
Right.
So a tool like this can get off the AFK ones and force them to be more game connected.
Okay. So one of the things about my show is that I assume that null blocks have their own methods of communication, coordination, and keeping their members informed. Just like I believe that, I assume that null blocks have, the voting, if not like instructions of how, like, this is how we want you to vote, giving people at least an idea so people don't have to think it through and digest it. So those guys already have their answer. The people that watch my show are the people that don't have those avenues of communication, so to speak. So I assume that you coming on here, that means that you're trying to address people that may not necessarily be vote block candidates. To that end, I want to give you an opportunity to convince not just non-block candidates, but maybe high secers or other areas of the game who may be hearing some of what you're saying as like a threat or not representative at the very least. Can you explain how it might be a good idea for someone who doesn't live in Null to want to vote for you?
It's simply because I actually read what the job of the CCP is: to provide feedback, suggestions
CSM.
from players. Yeah, CSM, sorry.
No problem.
So I'm a middleman, right? I'm not enforcing anything on non-null sec players. And if a null sec player or a high sec player comes to me as a CSM and say, "Hey, I have this feedback or suggestion. Can you take it to CCP?" I say, "Sure, it's my job. That's what I have to do." So I take it to CCP, they tell me go away, and I go away. I come back to the player, I tell him, "Sorry, this is not the correct time for this," or I give some feedback but back to the player. That's what I have to do. And this is what I want to do.
So you spoke at,
So
sorry.
I don't want to represent entirely nullsec. It's my highest ability and performance and value, to be honest. But I, under no circumstances, will ignore any player coming from wormhole space and having a good suggestion or an idea or something out of the box. And, it's not how it should be.
So earlier you were while you were talking about the roll call changes, you explicitly compared it to like Orcus and HiSec. Let's give you an opportunity to speak to somebody who may say that HiSec should have high level content too. Are you saying that NullSec should just be intrinsically better than HiSec? You're not trying to force me to go to NullSec, are you?
I'm not, but CCP is. If you want a roll call by CCP laws, you have to go to lowsec or nullsec or
But
wormhole space.
isn't that logic
It's not
circular? You're complaining that the Rorqual doesn't outperform the Orca. So you want the Orca to be stronger, and then
the
you're
roll
saying
call.
that you want the Rorqual to be stronger, and then you're saying that if you want to be in the Rorqual, you got to go to Null. So it sounds like
No,
you're the one that's saying that you're trying to set
I
up
don't.
the. Hmm?
I don't want it to be stronger. I want it to have a purpose. It lacks purpose these days. Without purpose, you lack the motivation to undock it. I don't want to make the Rorqual even stronger than it is now. I just want it used as a valid ship. in all spaces where it can be used.
But
I don't want to make oracles in high sec, but I want it to be used, and
okay,
people have a reason to use it.
how does that relate to the viability of mining and other activities in HiSec?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
So again, it was the comparison that's the thing, right? So in the event that the impression that is taken from that is that you think that HiSec activities should be bad, so that way people move to nullsec. I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of speak against that kind of takeaway from what you were saying, like because the problem is that as it comes, not that it does, but like when some people hear a nullsecker say things like the roll call needs to be stronger because, and the main complaint is that people are making too much money in HiSec. What they hear is that you believe that HiSec shouldn't be valuable, so that way people go to nullsec. So, speaking to that, what do you think is the value of HiSec and the people that do activities there?
First of all, obvious protection from Concord. It's safer. It's you can literally AFK for a whole week and nobody will ever bother you. I doubt anyone in nullsec can AFK mine in an orca a week and nobody bothers him. It's simply risk, and
Okay.
that's basically the whole point.
Yeah. And like I said, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk to that, just because again, I know that that kind of impression does get made, and so in the event that somebody had that concern about you, somebody who isn't a null block, that is considering, like, oh, somebody who is wanting to represent us to CCP, that is not from a administrative high level, but a boots on the ground, making things happen, interacting with this content, and trying to make asking for better content within the universe. Like that is a really good representative, right? So I'm trying to bridge that gap to make it so that people don't necessarily see that you'll advocate for like, nerfing HiSec. Like there were people that were upset that like HiSec got the invasion content, for example. Um, so I wanted to explore the idea with you that the different areas of space are valuable. Nullsec has its value, and it's the
ISAC has
interconnectedness that
its value.
matters. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to say that too, so that way people don't like uh, accuse you of something after the fact or something. I wanted to give you an opportunity to address that particular straw man. I apologize.
Oh no problem.
With that said, I am done with my 10 minute, or I am done with my 50 minutes, and it is on to you for your 10-minute warning. Do you got anything else that you want to say? Anything I haven't covered?
I think you covered plenty.
You said that you do a lot of like exploration and other that kind of stuff. Do you have any particulars about the actual content that you do that you might think to bring to the table in order to uh, provide more life to nullsec?
Exploration in general would need a small bump because these days, for a very long time, you just got relic sites and data sites and the
Right.
sleepers, which are a bit special. But it gets old after a while, if you believe me. And maybe something new, some new type of event, something that is not data or relic, that would be really nice to kick jump everything again. Well, that would be something,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's on the CCP table right now.
Well, what I will say is that it is true that Nullsec has not been getting a lot of the focus of content development over the last year or two, for sure. Since Invasions, there's been a lot of newbie focus, high sec focus, event focus. Again, partially because nullsec has always been about like the player story, and so CCP doesn't want to interfere with that. I personally believe. But that being said, we are getting pretty close to what could possibly be the end of that cycle, and it is getting increasingly true that we're kind of looking at nullsec and going like, well, when are they getting something cool? Like, when is it their turn? And so I sincerely do believe that it is pretty close to nullsec's turn. I think that faction warfare could go in line first, but if you could do both at the same time, that'd be great. I know that they are still working on stuff, but my point is that makes it important for us to have a CSM candidate that is not all ADMs and timers and balances and dotland and API and local and all that, but it's like, hey man, the guys that are playing this game don't have enough shit to do when there's not a fight, and they want to be able to team up and do stuff or whatever.
To be honest, there is stuff to do. You can run Havens all day long. But again, it's old.
If you want to call that doing things, then whatever, fine. I appreciate that. But I think that we agree that it'd be nice to have you on the CSM to make that no longer true, to give us something. One of the questions that I used to ask to people is like, yeah, but what if the PvE was good? And one of the things that CCP has been doing in all of this is been building a new kind of AI that does respond to EWAR normally, that can be neuted, that does have their own EWAR, that functions way more like a fleet. They've been using them in all these event sites. And so I think it is time for them, if not like during Foundations, then maybe afterwards, the next one should be about the pirates. And like maybe they have their own, they're given a lot more dynamic nature, so hunting them down and taking out their stuff becomes much more interesting content that may then lead to PvP interactions and other such like that. And so, like I said, having a candidate that understands that Null is about sovereignty and about what you do with the space every day would be incredibly important. And to that end, you would make a good candidate. So that's pretty awesome.
And I thank you for that.
All right. Anything else that you wanted to cover or talk about? Or are you already gone? Oh, no. Okay.
I don't know. Can we do questions from Fleet Chat?
Well, no. I gotta wind this down and be done. I just wanted to make sure before I sign off that there wasn't anything else. All right. Well, but if people do have questions, I've said this in some people. The campaign post will be or is of course on the forums, and all of the campaign posts are linked in the doobly-doo underneath my YouTube VODs or videos. So, if you do have follow-up questions, TDor's, reach out to him, and I'm sure he'll answer you. And if he doesn't, then I guess he doesn't deserve your vote. But until then, he just may. He sounds like he's got a very good position, and I think that
is the wrong word. It's definitely.
There you go. Well, I didn't want to I assumed that you would. No. But yeah, if you want a little guy representative that, or rather a content focused guy in nullsec, and not just like Yar content, but like the guys who live in nullsec, the little guys, the workers, then TDor is a good consideration. I wish you the best of luck, my friend.
And you have a great evening.
07.